Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And guess what? Guess what?
What?
Google's a monopoly.
No, you don't say.
Yeah, according to a new ruling, Google is a monopolist in a U.S. antitrust case. We're going to talk about this. The news just broke today, and this kind of opens the floodgates for a bunch of lawsuits against Google. Now, this one does not pertain specifically to the situation with the AI snippets for websites, because that's more recent development. But it does open the door for more lawsuits, because I think a lot of companies now can argue that Google has destroyed the competition, right?
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm surprised they weren't hauled up in front of like Congress and stuff like other companies, because what they've done is to just decimate like the blogosphere and everything else. And then they're pushing, now this isn't the AI, but they're pushing their AI results, which a lot of times can be tricked.
Yeah.
Are, really weird, and they're just destroying websites or just even skimming websites and scraping from them and everything else. Now, I know other countries, it was already illegal for them to do this, but here it wasn't, and I was surprised they didn't get caught out before now.
Just wait, because there's another lawsuit coming, and we'll talk about that one. This other lawsuit is going to deal specifically with advertising, but it takes a while. I think what's going to happen is by the time Google gets called out for their practices when it comes to the AI snippets, most of the websites that would complain will probably be out of business. But this definitely is a step in the direction that could see, I think, Google getting broken up at some point. We'll see. They've got too much power. I think they've got too much power, but we gave it to them. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So yeah, this is coming from The Verge. It just happened today. Judge, Ahmet Mehta, ruled in favor of the Department of Justice, writing that Google has maintained a monopoly in the search and advertising markets.
No.
What? No. After having carefully considered and weighed the witness testimony and evidence, the court reaches the following conclusion. Google is a monopolist, and it has acted as one to maintain its monopoly, according to the court ruling, which you can read in full. We're not going to cover that, obviously, in the video, but it says it has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act.
Okay.
Ooh.
What's the Sherman Act?
The Sherman Act deals with the antitrust laws and monopolies and corporations, et cetera. So they're saying, yeah, the feds are saying they violated the Sherman Act. The judge's decision represents a major victory for the Department of Justice, which accused Google of illegally monopolizing the online search market. Mehta did not agree with all the government's arguments. However, for example, he rejected the claim that Google has monopoly power in one specific part of the ad market. He agreed with the government, however, that Google has monopoly in general search services and general search text advertising.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's what leads to the ads market. Because, okay, if Google, runs the AdSense and they run the ads through them, for YouTube and everything else, but they also run the searches and that kind of stuff. Well, they could just make sure you don't get found, or they could be like, you can get found a lot more if you pay us, and then it's a real shame you don't get found now. But if you paid us,
I think that's where this is going to go, because what is going on now is we're seeing the only websites get promoted are the ones that basically have agreed to let Google scrape their data for AI snippets.
Yeah, that's how it seems. But they're going to scrape your website if you're anyway.
Yeah. We need more alternatives. I know I've talked about this in multiple videos, and I said, back in the early internet, we had multiple search engines, and, Google definitely pulled ahead. But at one point in time, Yahoo was the internet. Now I think they just use Bing or something. But yeah.
Google got really greedy as of October or so of last year. This started November of last year.
Yeah.
If they had just let it go the way it was going, and they were, because you still got their ads through them, so they got a whole bunch of the money. And then people still got found, it was based on quality of your site. And, sometimes they would, scrape to put a little blurb or something, but you still got, you were still searchable, and you still were able to, it was fair, and the ad rates were still fair. We probably, we wouldn't be a situation we're in, but they completely effed everyone.
Yeah, they destroyed the news ecosystem. But the thing is Google doesn't want a lot of money. Google wants all the money. Mm-hmm. They want all of the money, and they want to funnel people into, basically they don't want people leaving the Google search page, because they have ads on the search page. and they want you going to YouTube first because they own it. Or they want you going to one of their partner sites like Reddit or Quora or something like that they scrape from.
Now, YouTube is still okay, except it seems like they are starting to push like TikTok-esque shorts over everything else. And I think Hollywood, because we showed you multiple times how YouTube is just beating everybody, they want in on that too. So now they're going to promote Hollywood over everyone else. I think you pay to play kind of situation.
We talk about this being YouTubers. We've talked about this off the record, but it does seem very odd that all this drama is happening with these YouTubers, and we were talking about this. You actually brought it up.
It's weird. Why now?
Why now? All of a sudden, Hollywood's like, yeah, hey, YouTube's where it's at. Oh, let's get rid of all the streamers. Let's dig up some controversy. And it's all happening at once. It's not like just one person blows up their career. It's like, oh no, like the top 5. Let's just take them all out in one fell swoop. I'm like, what the frick? Anyway, let's go back to Google. Let's go back to Google here. This landmark decision holds Google accountable. The Department of Justice Antitrust Chief Jonathan Cantor said in a statement, it paves the path for innovation for generations to come and protects access to information for all Americans. Google did not reply to a request for comment.
I'm sure they aren't.
The judge rejected Google's arguments that its contracts with phone and browser makers like Apple were not exclusionary and therefore shouldn't qualify for liability under the Sherman Act. The prospect of losing tens of billions in guaranteed revenue from Google, which presently come at little to no cost to Apple, disincentivizes Apple from launching its own search engine when it otherwise has built the capacity to do so.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. It's like, so they're suing and then big companies are going to benefit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but the problem isn't the big companies. They're going to benefit anyway. It's all the little people who they just, plowed over.
Yeah, they said this is very similar to when they went against Microsoft. They said Google's monopoly in general search as remarkably durable. It's remarkably durable. Okay. It said it's increased from 80% in 2009 to 90% in 2020. Bing has less than 6% market share. So yeah, there's a competitor, but it is a distant second. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of like the same argument they used with Ma Bell. It was like, yeah, there are other phone companies, but nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. It said if there's genuine competition in the market for general search, it has not manifested in familiar ways, such as fluid market shares, lost business, or new entrants. They can't. Who's going to go against Google? And again, it comes, pretty much it's the default on phones. They've got the Chrome browser, which is the most used browser on the planet now, I guess. Does anybody actually use Microsoft Edge? I don't think anybody actually uses it. Most people use Chrome. Smarter people use Firefox, I think.
Well, they're just, wasn't it Chrome that was going to start watching what you did? Was it that or was it Edge? Which one was it?
No, that's Microsoft. That's actually, well, I'm sure Chrome does watch what you do, but Microsoft, yeah, they have the AI recall. And that's
people are
part
like not going to that one now.
Yeah, I'm like, that was enough to kind of scare me off from, I mean, I'm not updating any of the machines here in the office to Windows 11. And now I'm thinking like that new one I'm building, that might be Linux at this point.
I'm going down here to the next part. And it's once again about the big business. Okay. But it's not the big business that's getting hit so hard. It's the little guy. The judge underscored the idea that even the largest businesses in the US have no real alternative to Google.
Yeah.
So like even the big businesses can't. Time and time again, Google's partners have concluded that it's financially infeasible to switch default GSEs or seek greater flexibility in search offerings because it would mean sacrificing the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that Google pays them as the revenue share. However, meanwhile, the blogosphere and the whole internet pretty much that was using, Google, that they just completely cut off at the knees, don't let you get found, and then took all the revenue away. Was probably also equating to hundreds of millions of dollars, but they don't count that because it's not a big company.
Yeah, there are lots of mid-range blogs. We've been talking about this, like all the gaming journals are getting laid off and all the journalists are being laid off. And And in some cases, it's like, yeah, they were never going to last anyway because their business models were built on quicksand, venture capital or private equity. But in many cases, it was like we've seen websites that have been around for decades just get completely destroyed because Google has decided they want to keep users on the search page and not send them to the website because they get more of the money. Like, yeah, they do get some money when they send them to your website, but they get more money if they keep them on their page.
Yeah, they're not addressing that. This is about how it affects big companies. And it's like, middle finger to that.
On search text advertising, Meta wrote that Google's exclusive agreements enabled it to raise prices on that product without any meaningful competitive constraint. Yeah, again, they have Bing search ads, but nobody uses Bing. Well, Google argued that the price for its search text ads, when adjusted for quality, has decreased. Meta wrote that evidence is weak.
Wait. The prices when adjusted for quality decreased. Does that imply that the quality also decreased?
Google's argument is, and I don't know where it is in this article. I saw it earlier, but they basically said that the reason we have 90% of the market is because we're the highest quality product out there. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. They just wheeled and dealed, made a bunch of deals. And yeah, they said the value of an ad to its buyer, it's difficult to determine the value.
Well, the next part got me. They said that they're supposed to, Google failed to preserve chat messages relevant to the case.
Oh, yeah.
And they said it was like destroying evidence. And then the judge said that wasn't the case, but they apparently destroyed messages. Yeah. They're arguing it was destruction of evidence.
Yeah.
But the judge didn't agree.
Yeah. It says it doesn't move the needle on the assessment of Google's liability. Basically, it didn't help them at all. But he said the decision should not be understood as condoning Google's failure to preserve chat evidence. This is Google. They have records of everything. They have servers upon servers upon servers upon servers, and they didn't lose shit. They destroyed it. Yeah, Google doesn't lose shit.
I know, right? Then they said Amazon, Apple, Meta are all having the monopoly lawsuits against them from the DOJ too.
Yeah, they're all getting hit. Now, there are a couple different ways to look at it. Some people are going to be like, well, this is a kind of anti-capitalist out of the government trying to break these businesses up. But, I think when it comes to controlling the flow of information, we can't have it all coming from one source or two sources. And this is a huge, huge problem. But nobody can compete with Google. Like even in the video space, anybody that tries to compete with Google in the video space to compete with YouTube, they get slapped down pretty hard, pretty quick. Mm-hmm. And they've done it to multiple would-be competitors. But the fact that there is, Facebook video and Vimeo and the R word place across town, it's they can argue, I think, that there are alternatives. It's like, yeah, Google is by far the biggest. They're the Walmart of the internet, or the Amazon or whatever. And, everybody else is just a mom and pop compared to
yeah. So I wonder how long it's going to be till, more lawsuits come up from people that had, businesses had websites and stuff that were decimated. I wonder if they'll start like class action.
I think it will. I'll finish up with this one. Then there's another suit coming up about advertising specifically. And you have to realize it's going to take a while for affected businesses to actually file a case against Google and for it to actually work its way through the courts, right? And I think that you probably are going to have some publishing companies say, hey, you know what? We went from tens of thousands of dollars a month or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to like $1,000 a month because Google decided to just pull the rug out.
A lot of sites are down 70, 80, 90% over this.
That's not even an exageration. I keep trying to tell people that.
I'm completely serious.
Just our own sites, we've seen it. I've compared notes with other site owners in the verticals that we have our sites in, and they're down like 70, 80, 90%. It's scary. And I mean, we're talking, some of these sites have been around for 15 or 20 years. And then just boom, Google woke up one day and said, you know what? Yeah, we don't want to send traffic to people anymore. No, we just don't want to. Yeah, so the Department of Justice argued that Google illegally monopolized the general search advertising market by effectively cutting off key distribution channels for rivals through exclusionary contracts. For example, Google has deals with browser makers like Mozilla and phone manufacturers like Apple and Samsung to make their search engine the default on their products. Same with Microsoft with operating systems. Google also makes default status for some of its apps a condition of access to the Play Store for phone makers using its Android operating system.
Well, interesting. Speaking of them, so you have those ones with Samsung. And down here they said, one of the most significant revelations from the case of the size of Google's payment to Apple to secure the default search engine spot on the iPhone browsers. An expert witness for Google let it slip the company shares 36% of search ad revenue from Safari with Apple. So there's where the money's going for the websites and stuff that people aren't getting paid. It's going to places like Apple.
Yeah, because I thought...
Because they need it so much.
Yeah, I know, right? Apple needs more money, right? Well, they might. I don't know. Warren Buffett pulled a bunch of money out of Apple. Yeah, it's just, I mean, Apple's pretty much the default phone. I mean, Android's pretty far behind Apple, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's first and second. I know iPhone is, I believe, the biggest phone out there. But yeah, I do remember when I think they were working with Bing at one point or something. They weren't working with Google. And they had this whole thing happen. They paid $20 billion. Google paid Apple $20 billion for the default position. Just put that in perspective, just to make sure that their search engine was the default search engine on Apple devices. That is 5 times what Disney paid for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just to because it's worth it, because the advertising.
Yeah, well, they're getting all of the money that should have been going to the people who have the sites people are visiting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I don't understand. It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. So you do this, but eventually there's no one to scrape from. There's no thing to write the AI stuff from. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just, eventually you're just going to hit a wall. So why do it?
So they have another antitrust trial between the Department of Justice and Google September 9th, and this is about advertising.
Okay.
They said that this other lawsuit complains about Google's grip on the digital advertising market. They said their anti-competitive behavior has raised barriers to entry to artificially high levels, forced key competitors to abandon the market for ad tech tools, dissuaded potential competitors from joining the market, and left Google's few remaining competitors marginalized and unfairly disadvantaged. So I think this is going to open the floodgates for a lot more people to complain. And I do believe that eventually we're going to get around to publishers complaining that Google destroyed their traffic because, we had this, but then the flip side is we willingly gave all this power to Google.
Right. But I mean, there was like, yeah, you're glad to use Google. You're like glad to work with Google. And they just literally like effed everyone. And I mean, where it might not matter for the little guy, the big companies, because they have lots of money, they'll be able to go sue.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to Apple. It doesn't matter, but like all the publishers that have been put out, and it's crazy. So we'll keep an eye on this. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually surprised it took this long. But
this would have been played before all this, and I'm like, where's the hearings questioning them about what they're doing?
Yeah, this was updated January 24th of 2023.
Right. Wow.
So we're talking 2 years.
It's been going on for a while. When is this lawsuit? This is one coming up yet?
And this is the one that's they're gonna hear this one in September. So we're talking almost 2 years.
Yeah. So it's been going on, and it's gotten worse since then.
Yes.
So where's people questioning that? Where's they'll question other businesses for something silly and stupid, but why are they hauling them out in front of Congress to be drilled about why they're destroying the internet? And putting all kinds of people out of work and everything else because of it. Where's that?
Well, when they do that though, like with the Facebook and with the TikTok hearings, it's actually kind of cringy because it's obvious that the boomer congressmen don't understand how the internet actually works, and they ask really stupid questions. Yeah, it makes them look dumb. But in this case, yeah, I do think it's monopoly. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, guys. It's going to be really interesting. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.